Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. My name's Dom Warnaar. Today I wanted to talk about my two favourite stocks for investing into EV chargers, so EV charging stations or EV charging companies. The two main ones that I wanted to look at, if you're someone who only gets into the minute of a video and then skips, is EVgo and Volta Inc. So if you want to keep watching, I'll go into why I actually think they're the two best ones to invest in at the moment over, say, the leader of, say, ChargePoint. Now, if you look at ChargePoint, you'll see that ChargePoint have, I believe, over 112,000 electric vehicle chargers, and they're quite an international business now. They've done really, really well, and they're definitely the leader in this market. But you look at Volta Inc., they've got just over 2,000 chargers, and then you have EVgo just under 2,000 chargers. I'll put the actual figures down below just in the video so you can see what they are, because I just don't remember them off the top of my head. And you're probably thinking, well, why would they be your two favorites? Why not just invest in ChargePoint? And it's totally true. ChargePoint probably is a great investment. They're also spending a lot of money to grow really quickly and things like that, but what it shows is the huge potential for these other companies, and the fact that the valuations they're only 4 or 5 times below what ChargePoints are, yet they have like 1/10 of the amount of charges. Obviously you can do the maths yourself, but it's huge difference. Revenue for the two companies was also really interesting. Volta Inc. obviously as of September was above that $8 million mark, which I believe was around a 70% increase for them. And then you also had EVgo at around just over 6 million as well, which was actually, I think it was 140% increase. So huge numbers. And then you look at ChargePoint, obviously they're doing much higher returns at about that $140 million mark. So obviously huge growth potentials for the two companies. Obviously with this you have to account as well for the EV growth. So EV growth, we saw 168% increase in EV growth in America last year. So huge return potential, and a lot more people that are going to want to be able to, charge their vehicles. Like, yeah, most people, probably 95% of people are going to charge at home. Definitely agree with that. But when you go on long trips, you start to charge somewhere, right? And the way that I look at these EV charging companies, it's really hard to choose the lithium companies that are going to do well, which ones are going to lose money, which ones are going to make money. But what you can look at is these EV charging companies, and you think all these guys who are in their 70s and 80s right now, who are worth tens if not hundreds of millions of dollars, who invested in these big oil companies and petrol stations back in the early 90s, and you just think early 1900s, sorry. And I think that's we're going to go through something similar now. I don't think it's going to be as quite a big a boom, but it's going to be still a pretty big boom. I'm really excited to see how it goes, and I want to be a part of it, right? I want to be one of those guys in 70s and 80s, tens of millions of dollars, why not? Now a little bit about the companies. I always think that you have to look at the leadership of these companies. So Kathy Zoy is the CEO of EVgo. She's, as of 2017, she has decades of experience in clean energy, investing in policy communities. Odyssey Energy, distributed energy software company she continues to chair, was a company that she was president, co-founder. She was also the founder of Frontier Power, rural electrification company, incubated by son Edison. In addition to her energy business, she worked as an investor and board member at Silver Lake in Bayard Capital, and as a management consultant for ICF and the next energy whale, serving in the Obama administration. So she served at the Department of Energy as an assistant secretary and acting under secretary, where she successfully managed more than $30 billion in energy investments. So obviously a huge amount of experience. Kathy also has tons of experience, and I've always said no matter how good the company looks, right, you can only invest if the leadership looks sound and it looks strong, because when things hit the fan, you want to know that leadership is going to take control and still look after investors, right? So it definitely looks like something she has. She also has ties back here in Australia as well. She was the founding CEO of Alliance for Climate, which was a climate protection, which was founded by then Vice President Al Gore, and of the Sustainable Energy Development Authority, which actually devoted $50 million to commercialising clean energy technologies here in Australia. So definitely wouldn't put it past her to put an expansion of EVgo down here. Now, about the company's main business is to provide EV charging services to individuals, businesses and fleets through its own infrastructure, in addition to monetising regulatory credits generated from its charging activities. So EVgo owns its charging infrastructure, and then it partners with automotive manufacturers like Nissan, BMW, Chevrolet, Tesla, Kia, to provide vehicles with enticing charging solutions. EVgo's business model encompasses a variety of business arrangements and partnerships, but its focus is on the right kind of partnership, right? So owning and operating the system, customer and their charging network interests align in the owner-operator model. Our customers desire reliable, fast charging equipment, and the networks value uptime and reliability in order to maximize revenue, right? More than 1,200 fast chargers are owned and operated by EVgo and are located across the 60 plus metropolitan areas in the US, but the company also partners with several stakeholders to maximize the public charging infrastructure and deployment. A co-branded program, for example, EVgo and Salt River Project, public power company in Phoenix, has enabled DC fast chargers in the installation there. Close collaborations like this offer the potential to adjust and incentivize customer behavior mutually beneficial way as a result of learnings. Salt River Project has access to more data on its usage through the joint network, allowing it to operate its generators more efficiently and thus offer more attractive rates for overnight at-home charging when electricity demand is at its lowest. When EVs typically return home and plug in the evening, such data helps manage peaks in demand. The usage-driven model of EVgo leads to the company seeking partnerships for some of its operations, such as building the grid infrastructure for EV charging through make-ready work with utilities. Additionally, the company has also established partnerships with a range of site hosts, ranging from retailers to large commercial property owners. Through these partnerships, the development process is greatly streamlined and expedited. Due to this, EVgo's public fast chargers can be used by drivers wherever they already intend to go, including by people who live in apartment buildings, or and they don't have access to EV chargers at home, or maybe they don't want to use their home chargers for whatever reasons. The company also partnered with the city of Sacramento in California to install 6 ABB DC fast chargers in a public parking curbside plaza. It's part of an innovative project. They are located in the public park downtown Sacramento, which allows for easier EV accessibility for downtown residents and bring more people back to the state capital's public spaces. For EV drivers working in GM's Maven gig ride-sharing services, the company has installed dedicated charging stations which are available to people renting short-term cars, if they're working for Uber, Lyft, Postmates, for example. And additionally, EVgo works with other ride-sharing and car-sharing companies so the drivers can access EVgo's public network, fast charging networks, delivering reliable charging services, support high mileage, and consequently charge utilization. Drivers enjoy a symbiotic relationship with ride sharing and the business that use electric vehicles. Drivers can use what's called an RFID card for the EVgo app to pay for EVgo charging services, or they can also call EVgo's 24-hour call center to make purchases over the phone. For EV drivers, EVgo's chargers offer pay per minute pricing or a monthly membership for discounts on charging. Recent announcements from EVgo include bilateral partnerships, as well as the expansion of access to more and more chargers for more drivers in those other areas as well. User experience is crucial for both commercial success and EV adoption. So customers calling for EV Go helpline an assistance can say, for example, hey, I'm plugged into William, rather than just a random six number or random letters, and it makes it a little bit easier for them, and basically they can say, look, hey, yep, we're here to assist, and they can assist the customer, including by remotely starting the charging session or by diagnosing and starting repairs immediately for them. So it's pretty amazing, right? Now that's enough about EV Go, right? What about Volta Inc., right? So Scott Mercer is the CEO, the holds a position at Volta Inc. Scott is an entrepreneur with a passion for developing technology and that appeals to the needs of the future. Pacific Business News named him 40 under 40. Hawaii Venture Capital named him Entrepreneur of the Year. And Hawaii Business named him 20 for the next 20. So Volta Inc. was founded on the seed of a 1967 Jaguar XKE that Scott actually sold during his vintage automobile restoration business that he had. In addition to the Brahmo motorcycle and electric Fiat Scott sometimes drives in 1971 Alfa Romeo. That's what it says on their website, so I thought I'd put that in there, right? Now Volta's Inc.'s business model is where things get really interesting. They're a little bit different to EV Go, and I'll tell you why. By offering multiple revenue streams, location selection, Volta wants to differentiate themselves from the competition. In Volta's business model, it's not merely a way to resell electricity to EV owners, but rather to draw people to the specific location through its charging network. To accomplish this, Volta plans to partner with retailers, shopping malls, food chains and others to put its chargers in prime parking lots near their businesses, and as a result electric vehicles are charged for an average of 148 minutes per charger, providing lots of time for drivers to go shopping or go grab a meal or some lunch. And a recurring fee is collected by Volta from the commercial client, and Volta splits the costs for the building of the charger. In some locations, Volta offers free charging for 15 minutes to attract EV drivers. Volta's chargers have different power levels depending on the locations of what Volta's partners want. They said we try to match charging on the location to the expected dwell time and the behaviour on what's on that property. That's what Wendell said. The longer you spend on property, the less a fast charge you need. If you have to go move your car or get something else and charge idle fees just 15 minutes into your shopping, that's the opposite of what the retailer wants, right? Because that means you're going to be rushing out, you're not going to spend a longer time there. So Volta claims to increase the customer traffic at locations where its chargers are installed. These chargers use 2 billboard-sized screens on each side of the actual charger. I'll put a picture up of what that looks like. The company believes that by 2035, 37% of its revenue will come from advertising and sponsorships, and another 7% will also come from the sale of data generated by its network. Some of the early charging models we saw had no way to pay back the capex required to build the infrastructure, Wendell said. Our aim was to build a business that centered around clients, commercial impact by starting from demand. So we put stations where we know they will be used, as opposed to a build it and hope they will come model or strategy. That's what Wendell said. With Volta's target market being much smaller network of chargers, Volta is able to offer a wider profit margins and faster payback periods per charger than most of its competitors. Currently, it takes about 3.5 years to pay back for a new charger, or for a new charger to pay itself back. By 2025, Volta expects that they will be paid for in less than 2 years. By 2022, the company's EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, will be just about even. So it will generate a profit by 2023, and 2025 the company predicts 252 million in EBITDA on 826 million in revenue, with sales about doubling annually from 2020 from its 25 million. So obviously these are numbers that they've said. These are the numbers that I think they're going to get to, but obviously I'm speculating a little bit this early in. But I also do believe quite heavily in Volta Income and EVgo, and I think that they're doing really, really well, and they're expanding, and they have great leadership in their companies, and I think you should look into them a little bit more, and also share with me if you agree with my thesis, and if you don't agree with my thesis, please tell me why as well, because if I'm wrong, I kind of want to find out before I lose a ton of money, right? But you know, so far I've done pretty well out of them, and I'm still investing. Obviously they've dipped, both of them have dipped or corrected quite heavily, along with ChargePoint. I'm actually looking at ChargePoint now. I wasn't looking at ChargePoint a few weeks ago because their market cap was quite high, the price was quite high, but they've obviously gone through a big correction, so I might look into them, but I'm still much more attracted to Volta and EVgo at the moment. So thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was a bit of a different video for you, and if you did like it, if you did like the video, give it a like, subscribe, hit the bell button if you really like the video, right? But yeah, really appreciate you watching, and I hope this channel continues to grow, and I hope I continue to provide you with as much value as I can. Thanks for watching.